So we are trying to understand the six fundamental truths regarding the soul. Not saying of the soul, but at least regarding the soul because of the last two pads. Soul purpose being self-realization, Atma Siddhi. For the purpose of self-realization, we are trying to understand the six fundamental truths regarding the soul. First fundamental truth being, soul exists, Atma che. Second fundamental truth being, soul is eternal, Atma nitya che. And we are on the third fundamental truth, being soul is the doer, bracket, of karma. Soul is the doer of actions, or soul is the doer of karma bandh, acquiring karmas, whichever meaning you take, but the soul is the doer of this, is the third fundamental truth. So now what is the disciple's doubt? He doubts that the soul is the doer of karmas, so he feels the soul is a non-doer of karmas. Soul, non-doer of activity, though it appears that the soul is, in the soul acts, it appears, but in reality, the soul is a non-doer of karmas, non-doer of actions, non-doer of karma bandh, or acquiring karmas, whatever. So that is the Shishya's doubt. And he has lots of arguments or say alternatives which makes him believe so, that the soul need not be the doer, soul is the non-doer, but then he doesn't understand the rest of the philosophy. If the soul is non-doer, then why is it receiving the fruits? Why is it suffering? Why is it enduring? Why is it enjoying? Why is it receiving? The fourth truth. So why this joy? Why this sorrow? Why these differences? Why this diversity? So he is not clear about even the non-doership of the soul. Doership also is not clear, but he is not 100% sure about the non-doership of the soul. But whatever arguments due to the influence of other philosophies, or say thinking logically, or his experience or observations around, so he is having many alternatives. So Dr. Mansi said about the three alternatives which he felt, which was the subject matter of verse 71. Three, very short. Number one, karmas, the new karmas are because of the past karmas. Number one, because karmas is a chain of actions and reactions. So every action has a reaction. That reaction itself is an action. So again, seeds of reaction, and so this cycle goes on. But karmas do it. So the soul is non-doer. Second was automatically, accidentally, without any specific reason or condition. And third, soul is the doer, but in the sense, it's its innate nature, so it cannot be held responsible. It was not his choice. So again, the final conclusion will remain same, that the soul is not responsible. Because he didn't have a choice, it was his innate nature which made it do it. Do karmas or acquire karmas, any meaning you take. So all three have one thing in common, the soul is not responsible then why does the soul have to endure the fruits of karmas which he has not done? Of course, I have one tark for that also. Like how your cook prepares the food, but you enjoy the food. Someone else does. I don't. I don't. Someone does. So do. Who is the doer? Someone else. Who is the enjoyer? So even this will get solved when the Guru starts speaking and resolving the confusion. So in verse 71, which seemed so simple, became very simple. Athva, but of course athva we use after the first option. So three options, three alternatives. Either the karmas are the doer of karmas, or the karmas without any reason. So I didn't explain anything, because when the when the argument says that without any reason, means it's over. And third was the innate nature of the soul. Now in verse 72, two more alternatives will be put forth. And in the next verse, conclusion. What conclusion does the disciple draw from what he presented? From the arguments he presented, what conclusion does he draw? Although the existence and eternity of soul is proved, or say he is convinced, the disciple is convinced, he has grasped. The disciple is unable to grasp those two things he grasped: the existence of the soul and the eternity of the soul, everlastingness. What he is unable to grasp is that the soul is the door of karmas. So, bent on proving that soul is not the doer, in the previous verse presented two arguments, or say three. Two as a doer, someone else being the doer, and one nature. So it is not responsible. To support his view, now in this verse 72 presents two more. It is clearly visible that both these arguments, which are put forth in verse 72, this verse, stem from the influence of Vedic philosophy, especially the Sankhya philosophy and the Nyaya philosophy. As we go on, I'll explain. If you are interested, I can give you a little, I would not even say bird's eye view, but say introduction to what is Sankhya, because it's not totally wrong. In fact, the darshan, the philosophy which is most near or close to Jainism is Sankhya. Not Vedanta, not Buddhism, but most. So, influence of the Vedic philosophy. How many? How many Vedic philosophies? 6. Nyaya, Vaisheshik, Sankhya, Yoga, Purva Mimamsa, or you can say Mimamsa, and Uttar Mimamsa, or you can say Vedanta. So there were pairs of 2, right? So total 6 darshans are Charvak, Jainism, Buddhism, Nyaya Vaisheshik together a pair, Sankhya Yoga, and Purva Mimamsa, Uttar Mimamsa. There's the Mimamsa Sutra. Purva means the former part of the Mimamsak Sutras, and Uttar means the latter part. So the latter part is called the Vedanta. And Vedanta has lot of different schools in it. Advaita Vedanta, Vishishtadvaita Vedanta, Dvait, Shuddhadvait, and many. So we can have one campfire sessions on all this also. So 6 darshans, Charvak, Jain, Buddhism, Nyaya Vaisheshik, Sankhya Yoga, Purva Uttar. And what is common in the last three pairs? They all believe in the authority of the Vedas. Whatever they need to propound is from, they say, is their interpretation of the Vedas. So imagine Vedas and 6 interpretations. To such a level that there are not only 6 schools of thought, but 6 established philosophies, out of which some has a religion by itself also. These are the name of the philosophies, the knowledge part, the metaphysical knowledge imparted. So from Vedas 6, so these 6, or if you say 3 pairs, then 3 pairs or 6 schools, they are called the Vedic philosophy. So these 2 arguments which we will be doing in verse 72 itself, both the arguments, it's written, stems from the influence of Vedic philosophy. And which Vedic philosophies out of the 6? So Nyaya, Vaisheshik Mati Nyaya, the second one is from the Nyaya, Sankhya Yoga Mati Sankhya. So from Sankhya and Nyaya. So it is clearly visible. Why clearly visible? Because the words used by those philosophies, the same words Prabhu has put here, Prakruti. See, we never knew what was Prakruti. Either we would say Jad, or we would say Pudgal, or English में कहिए तो matter. But Prakriti word is of the Sankhya philosophy. That's why I have written clearly visible. Okay, this is by the influence, because the word Prakriti is used, which is extensively used in the Sankhya philosophy, and Ishwar Prerna is used in the Nyaya philosophy. And the people who believe in the Nyaya or follow the Nyaya philosophy are called Naiyayiks. Naiyayiks. So as the people who follow Jainism, we call Jains, or in Hindi we call Jaini. Jaini bole, Jaini ho sab. So in Hindi we say Jaini, in English we say Jains, Gujarati ma Jaino, and who follow Jainism. So this is the Sankhya, this is the Nyaya. Both these arguments which are put forth in verse 72 stem from the influence of Vedic philosophy, which Vedic philosophies? Those philosophies which believe that the soul is unbound, meaning non-doer. It's non-doer of karmas and has no bondage of karma. Then only you can say it is pure. It is unbound. It is non-attached, not even associated with karmas. Abandhat, asanga. Understand? So caught in the whirlpool of doubts, yet having intense eagerness to know the truth. This is very important. You may be confused, you may be in a whirlpool of doubts, but if you are a true mumukshu, you would not want to give up or conclude everything is very confusing, it is rubbish, I don't want to fall into this mess. These are negative statements. But for a mumukshu, my Sadguru will be able to resolve this. He will exactly show me the incorrectness of my reasoning, thinking, or where have I picked up the partial truth and I'm sticking to it. And that's why I'm getting confused. So he's so sure. See his Shraddha for his Guru. One is Shraddha for the Guru and one is Shraddha for the Tattva, the metaphysics. So this is not clear, but this is very clear. Or he would have given up or claimed it rubbish negatively. So, whenever you are in a whirlpool of doubts, you should have this enthusiasm or eagerness to get it resolved by the audience of a Sadguru. Right? So, caught in the whirlpool of doubts, yet having intense eagerness to know the truth, the disciple says,
आत्मा सदा असंगने करे प्रकृति बंद अथवा ईश्वर प्रेरणा तेथी जीव अबंध.
Atma sada asang. Asang meaning asang, non-attached. Detached if you are attached. If you say remove your shoes, so someone comes and says, but I have not worn. So a Buddhu sevak will say, then wear it and then remove. There are such sevaks also who are so jad, who don't know the essence. They want to just stick to the words, remove your shoes here. So this is the instruction given to them કે જે જે આવે એ બધાને શું કહેવાનું? What is the implied meaning? They should not walk in this hall with shoes. That should be. But if you are a jad sevak, you would say no, but it is written remove your shoes. If you have not worn, borrow. Wear, then remove, then enter. So, at least I was telling someone, Swayam Sevak. What do you say? What does it mean, Swayam Sevak? Voluntarily જે સેવા માટે તૈયાર થયા હોય તેને આપણે કહીએ સ્વયં સેવક. That sevak is not threatened to do some work. If you want to stay in the ashram, you have to do this. Not threatened in that way, but he voluntarily wants to do seva. So Swayam Sevak. But I explain it a little different. Who has a buddhi of their own also. Swayam Sevak. Who can understand the essence, the ashay of Sadguru. And whenever conditions or circumstances change, it can change the instruction, keeping that essence intact and not behaving in the jad way. This was what was told to us, and this is what you have to do. You have to remove your shoes before entering the hall. So something wonderful for Nemiji, you can quote me anywhere. When we have a team of sevak, when it is called a team, just 4-5 sevaks together is not a team. Team kone kehvay? When there is no I in that word. TEAM, no I. It is only Sadguru and no I. Tyare kehvay good team work. The moment the I comes and the clashes start, then one has to dictate, the other has to surrender. So there is no bhakti left. It is a power game again, and then you miss on the spirituality. The spiritual touch is missed. So beautiful, yet having intense eagerness to know the truth. Some don't want to confront the Sadguru, don't want to get it clarified, just want to believe what they think. This is not the Shishya of Atmasiddhi Shastra, at least. If there is a confusion, he wants it to get resolved. If there is a misinterpretation or misinformation, anything, it can be misinformation, you don't know some part of it, or you have interpreted some part of it in a different way. So all this can be resolved only by communication. Here the process what Param Kripadev has showed us, contemplate, ponder, think, reflect. But if you are caught in a whirlpool of thoughts, because with confusion you can't move ahead on this path, and not at all when a wrong judgment is made, then you are just going down, down, down every kshan, not every day. Every kshan you are going down, 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 if a negative judgment is passed, or a wrong judgment, say. So if you feel you need some information or you want to know how have I wrongly interpreted it, then you need to communicate. And that is what the Shishya is going to do in the next verse. As he had done samjhavo sadupai, such a beautiful word, samjhavo. In this way, no, how much ever I think, but I am an egoistic person. I am an ignorant person who agnani chu, who mood chu, nirashrit chu, shamapnama we say. So how much ever I think my logic is right, but my conclusion is not tallying with you. Maybe I am wrong in my observation or I am wrong in my reasoning. Either I am wrong in I have not observed some part of it. My observation can be wrong, or I'm deriving my derivation, or you can say my reasoning is wrong and I need to resolve it because I don't want to be a bhare karmi jeev. I want to liberate my soul, and for this I need my confusion to be resolved. So in this verse he is putting forth two more arguments. So let's see. Atma sada asang. Asang meaning, so all this started because of your detachment. This 10 minutes was because of your detachment. So asang means not attached only. Attached hoy to detached thawanu hoy, but not attached. So he's saying asang means not unattached. Who? Atma. Sada. Not from a particular time. After Samyak Darshan, he is unattached. Not that way. Atma sada asang. So soul is always, you can say, free or unattached. Free or unattached, free and unattached. Atma sada asang. Not associated with bondage, not associated with karma. But if you are saying bondage, someone has to be the doer of bondage, right? Bondage. જે પહેલા નહોતું ને હવે છે અને પછી નહીં પણ રહે. So who is the doer? If you are saying Atma is not the doer, then someone, you have to show someone that I have not done this, Astha has done this. Then it makes it clear. કે અચ્છા તમે નથી મૂક્યું આ ગ્લાસ અહીંયા, આસ્થાએ મૂક્યું છે અહીંયા. So who is the doer? That is explained in the next. Kare, who is the doer? Prakruti ban. Prakruti basically means nature, and over here it means matter. Nature, matter. So that is the meaning of Prakruti. So nature or matter itself creates bondage. Who does not create bondage? Who creates bondage? So he has made it very clear and logical. That the soul is the non-doer of bondage or actions, karma, action, bandh, bondage. So soul is non-doer, but who is the doer then? You cannot say no one is the doer, it just happens. Prakriti is the doer, and we'll understand what does he mean by that. Athva, and second alternative, or the last alternative, or the fifth alternative. Ishwar prerna. Ishwar, God. Prerna, inspiration. So God inspires to act. God inspired to me to show you my thumb. So how am I responsible? God's will. His will, His wish, His desire, His intervention, His prompting, His instigating, His inspiration, many, many words. Inspiration rakho amna. He prompted me to show my thumb to you. So am I responsible? Of course, I showed, but am I the doer? Who is the doer? God. So I don't want to blame anyone for anything. I'm not the doer. What is the contention here of the disciple? To prove that the soul is not I. Soul is not the doer. He wants to prove the soul is not the doer, though you will see the soul in activity, but the soul is not the doer because the whole doing is prompted by God, inspired by Him. તમે પેલું બાજુવાળાને કહો, as I tell નેમીજી આ કેવું હોય તો કે, and then he says, અરે આ તો બાપાએ યાદ કરાવ્યું, બાકી મને તો કંઈ ખબર નહોતી અથવા તો યાદ નહોતું ને everything. So in the same way, he doesn't get the credit, then the credit should be given to me, though he spoke. So he becomes the non-doer. In the same way, the activities of the soul are actually not done by his will, but by his will. So he becomes the doer and I'm the non-doer because I'm not responsible. If he has inspired me to rob or steal, then he's the doer. I'm not responsible. Just because my hands caught something, that does not mean I become the doer. It was not my will, it was. So there will be several problems when we do the solution, how God's will can never be used technically. Emotionally you can, and you would want to. But for a God to will, to desire, to intervene, I would not call that entity God. Because he yet does, doing, desiring, everything is there what I have. Even I do, I desire. Even he does, he has desires. So logically, tamaru God won't be a perfect soul. Complete, pure. You understand? થોડું સોલ્યુશનના લેનમાં હું ચાલી ગયો. But what is અથવા second option in this verse, God inspires to act, તેથી, therefore, soul is unbound. Because he is the non-doer. Because non-doer, he has not done anything, then why the bondage? So unbound. So pure. So not impure. So not responsible. You get it? Arguments you get? So yesterday Sachi was saying, and Sachi Ria both were saying that solutions to saras che, but the disciples' query are better than that also. Can you say like that? એ સેટ થઈ જાય એ વાત છે. This shows how impartial. When you have to put forth someone's point of view, when that person is not present, say in a meeting or whatever, કે આવું એમને કીધેલું, કે આવું આમ માને છે, કે આવું આમ વિચારે છે, કેટલું impartial હોવું જોઈએ. In the way it seems, some of the arguments seem so convincing. In the first pad also, in the second pad also. And third pad, little, because it is little technical, you might not. Nemiji was saying yesterday, Bapa, now the whole emotional part of Atmasiddhi is gone. Because we are constantly using our head to understand what you are saying. Is that so? તો હજી ઘણું આવશે એવું. So the short meaning, the soul is unattached and free, so cannot be the creator of karma. Prakriti or matter by its very nature creates bondage. That's the first argument. Or is God who is the creator of souls and prompter of its actions. The soul, creator of the universe, creator of the souls, and creator of, meaning the prompter of what he should be doing every second. That is theology. Theology meaning study of Theo, God. So, or it's God who is the creator of souls and prompter of their karmas. So, all karmas are results of His intervention and desire. Therefore, whether it's Prakriti or God, soul cannot be held responsible for bondage of karmas. Clear? So, the disciple builds upon the previous arguments of the soul being the non doer. Two arguments stemming from the influence of the Vedic philosophies. One from Sankhya, second one is Nyaya. Of course, Padam Kupadev has not named it. But I need to show you why did he use the word Prakriti here. Why is he using the word Ishwar Prerna and not Hari Icha? Because these two words are from that philosophy. So I need to name it to understand the verse. He just wants to show it as the query of a disciple. Okay, this is what is in his mind and he just presents it. But so many times we don't know, we think it is our thoughts, but it's fully influence of someone else whom you love or you hate, whatever. But so many things, what you have read, what you have seen, what you have been told, it is sometimes ditto, but just because it comes out from your head and your mouth, you feel it is my thinking. But it is all induced. So in the morning only during breakfast I was telling Amy, see, in this year I induced this thing in you which is coming up now as your belief. Forget it. So one is because of the influence of Sankhya philosophy and one is Nyaya. So do you want to know a little bit of Sankhya and then, so it's okay if you don't write down, but just for general knowledge you should know, and then when I say, now I'm turning towards the verse, that time you start writing. Quizma, I don't know, you'll be asking? I think you should ask because if they just know, okay, it is stemming from the Sankhya philosophy and they don't know anything about Sankhya, so thodu, ekdam, not the philosophical part, but general part, little bit. See, up till now it was Charvak, which is materialism, so you knew. Then it was Buddhism, and you know a little bit of Buddha and his life story and who propounded it and when was it prevalent, and you know a little bit about it. He was contemporary of Bhagavan Mahavir. And there were many instances they were in the same town but never met. Not because they both had high egos, not because of that, but whatever. So, Sankhya philosophy, Sankhya. So, Sankhya means what? Sankhya. Sankhya means, I'm breaking up the word, Sankhya. Sang means saru, samyak, sachu, good. Khya એટલે કહેવું. વિવેક વાળું જેનું કહેવાનું છે એ દર્શન is called Sankhya darshan, which shows how to discriminate between Purush and Prakriti. Don't get confused. It is Jain's Jad and Chetan. Prakriti means Jad and Purush means Atma or Chetan. So how Jainism shows you that Bhed Gnan, that discriminative knowledge, what is Jad, what is Chetan, and how do you discriminate it. So in the same way, this darshan is only named after Bhed Gnan, Vivek Gnan, Sankhya. There are many meanings. I think you should know only this much. So when I had to study Sankhya darshan in depth in 1989, because I was migrating from Hyderabad University to Mumbai University. And I had not taken, as you know, I had not taken philosophy in my BA, and I wanted to do masters in philosophy. So they say કે હજી BA થયા નથી ને MA થવું છે, બા તો બન્યા નથી ને માં બનવું છે. So you will have to give a test. And it was scheduled the third week of May. And first week of April, I had to go to Antwerp for my dad's surgery. I had to stay there for 1.5 months, or say 5 weeks. 5 weeks. So I hardly got any time to study. તો બી રાતના રાતના થોડું થોડું વાંચતો હતો. પછી પ્લેનમાં સબીના એરલાઇન્સ I had. તો એમાં જેટલું વંચાયું whole night, and next morning I go for my exam. So one on the Indian philosophy and one on the Western philosophy. 2 papers I had to give. And Indian philosophy anything could have come from these 9. Namely, mainly 6, but darshan to 9 થઈ ગયા ને, Paris ગણીને. So out of 9, anything could come. One darshan was going to come. Only one darshan. And I got Sankhya. So I can go on and on for at least 10 days on only Sankhya darshan. Just showing you my difficulty in introducing it to you in just 10-15 minutes. So, and in the Western philosophy, I had Spinoza. કોઈને ખબર છે Spinoza? You all must be having that. Dutch, he was a Dutch philosopher. નથી ખબર. Okay, no problem. So, yeah. So, Sankhya darshan is a realistic darshan. It would not focus on what appears. What is. So it's a realistic darshan. It is a dualistic darshan. It believes primary substance tarike, it accepts 2. So it is dualistic. It is not like the Charvaks only believing in matter. It's not like Vedant only believing in Brahma, spirit. Matter only? No. Spirit only? No. Those are non-dualistic darshan. But Sankhya and Jain and Buddhism are dualist. Nyaya is pluralistic. It does not believe in 2 dravyas. 9. No. Dravya, Dravya. No tattva nahi, no dravya. But here, so dualistic, Jad and Chetan. Pati Jad na bhale Jains can believe ke 5 Jad che and 1 che, but mainly 2 categories, Jad and Chetan. And Sankhya also has 2 categories, Purush and Prakriti. And that's why the word Prakriti here. You understand why I'm saying it's coming from Sankhya darshan? This query is coming from the influence of the Sankhya philosophy. Maybe the disciple had many friends, out of which one was believing in the Sankhya philosophy. So whatever interaction and influence he had on it, so it comes out as a query. So it is a realistic darshan, it is a dualistic darshan, and it is pluralistic in the sense it does not believe in only one Atma as Advait Vedant believe. Ek Advitiya Brahma. It does not. It believes in, there are many Purush, as Jains believe. There are many Atma, not only one Atma. There are such darshans who believe there is only one Atma. But here, Prati Dehe, every body there is a soul. That's another thing we'll be proving, that there are many souls in the body. That will come in campfire. But the owner of this body, owner to ek jo hai na. So, Prati Dehe, every body there is a soul. So how many Purush? How Purush meaning soul? How many? To plural, many. So who was the propounder of the Sankhya philosophy. I would not say Sankhya faith, but you know why I'm not saying faith. It's a philosophy. So, who was the propounder? Maharshi Kapil. Maharshi Kapil was a propounder of the Sankhya philosophy, and the historians believe that Sankhya philosophy was prevalent in India 100 years before Buddha. So, before Jainism, meaning Mahavir Swami Bhagwan, so before Mahavir and Buddha, who were contemporary, 100 years before that. But this is according to the historians, who have to prove it with evidences and proofs. But the word Sankhya is used in Samaisar, so 2000 years ago. Bhagwan, Mahavir and Buddha had spoken on Sankhya, so 2500 years ago, right? It is there even in Bhagavad Gita, the word, which is second chapter, Sankhya Yoga. And when the Kshetra, Kshetragna and all that philosophy is advocated, ત્યાં પણ સાંખ્યની વાત આવે છે. So that means Bhagavad Gita વખતે બી this philosophy was prevalent. So there are different yugs we say, that it was there 2000 years ago, 2500 years ago, 5000 years ago maybe. And I have read, but I'm forgetting the Praman, but I have read ભગવાન મહાવીરના કેટલા ભવ પૂર્વ ભવ કેટલા past lives કેટલી આપને ખબર છે? 27 countless છે, but main 27 stations, 27 major bhav, but we know only 27. Which was the third bhav? Marichi. So what was Bhagwan Mahavir at that time? Rushabdev Bhagwan's grandson, and you know the whole story. So he never had a shishya, and then he had to pass through some challenges, and finally he left Bhagwan's fold and he started a new fold. Then he said, I need some shishyas who can do my seva when I am sick, ill. So he had one shishya. His name was Kapil. His name was Kapil. And who was this Kapil? Gautam Swami's past life. Gautam Swami has, in this 27 births, he has met only 2 times. And the third time as Gautam Swami. One was during this Marichi, one was during Tripusha Vasudev's Bhav, and third in the last, Bhagwan Mahavirna Shishya Tarike Gautam Swami. So, Gautam Swami in his past life was Kapil. So I have read somewhere that Maharshi Kapil is this Gautam Swami's Ji. So in his past life he had started Sankhya, and in this last birth so what is the basic philosophy of Sankhya? It says the whole universe can be divided into 2 categories. One, Purush, one, Prakriti. Purush meaning the soul, Prakriti meaning matter, or Chetan and Jad, as the Jains say. So, whole universe can be divided into 2 categories, Purush and Prakriti. So here we don't need Purush, because Purush is Asang, Atma Sada Asang. So instead of Atma you can use the word Purush. Purush Sada Asang and Kare Prakriti Ban. So in other words, matter creates bondage, but Purush is unbound, or Atma is Asang. That means I've explained the first line now. But how do they explain? So it says there are 25 elements in the universe. One is Purush, and 24 are the groups of Prakriti. So basically 2, Purush and Prakriti, Purush, as category, it is only one. But there are several Purushas. But categorically, it is only one. So, one element. And Prakriti degenerates into different groups. And counting all those elements, it would be 24. So, in total, 25 elements. One is Purush, 24 is Prakriti. So, Prakriti and Purush. Let's talk of the Purush, it's very easy. They say the Purush, meaning the Atma, is Shuddha, always pure, not specifying its nature or its state, not specifying anything. Atma is pure. This will be specified in the solution. केवल होत असंग जो भासत तने न केम असंग छे परमार्थती पण निज भाने तेम. This will be the answer. I don't want to disclose it now. So Purush is what? Purush meaning Atma. So what is Atma? What is the nature of Atma? Always pure, nirvikar, no modifications, no changes in Atma. It is Kutastha, it is Nitya, always pure, unbound, untouched, detached. This Purush is not the body, and this Purush is not even the mind or intellect. All that comes in Prakriti. The body comes in Prakriti, the mind, intellect, ego, everything comes in Prakriti. The Purush is not the body, not the mind. Mano, Buddhi, Ahankar, Chittani, Naham, Nathi Hu. I am not the body, I am not the mind, I am not the intellect. I am a pure soul. So I think when you say I am pure, peaceful, powerful, you may be a follower of Sankhya philosophy also. But that's what you are uttering. When you're saying I am always pure, so you must be understanding what do you mean by I am always pure. You just had an impure thought that I am not understanding all these technicalities and why is he expanding it so much. I don't even want to know. I just want to know what's going to come in the quiz. So you just had an impure thought and you want to say I am always pure. So this will be explained by the Guru, where you have just stuck to a partial truth. That incorrectness will be shown by the Sadguru. So Purush is very, very clear. Shuddha che, nirvikar che, inactive che, nishkriya che. Because if it does kriya, it becomes the doer. Kriya means doing. Then he becomes the doer. But he is just a passive spectator. This should come at the end of the meditation. So, what does the Sankhya say? Nishkriya, it does not do anything. Forget bondage, nothing it does. Nothing. Nishkriya, so it's a non-doer. And that's why this point comes here in this argument, where he has to prove that the soul is non-doer. And Sankhya philosophy exactly says that the soul is a non-doer, not the doer. Atma karta che nahi, Atma akarta che. And the Guru wants to say Atma karta che from whatever viewpoint it is. So, Purush is pure, unbound, it is inactive, and in every body there is one Purush. So the word Purusharth. Purusharth karo, the effort put by the Purush, meaning the soul. So Purusharth, right? Sankhya says it cannot. Jains don't say that. Right? Purusharth. Now let's go to the Prakriti. Now what is this Prakriti? So Prakriti you can say nature, Prakriti you can say matter. They use two beautiful words for this. It is Jadatmika and it is Trigunatmika. So Jadatmika meaning it is Jad in nature, non-conscious element. Prakriti is Jadatmika meaning it is Jad, it is without the attribute of your favorite word, knowingness. It is non-conscious element. Purusha, Purush, conscious element, and Prakriti, non-conscious. Simple as that. And the second word is, and of course it is Avinashi, because even substance cannot be, matter cannot be destroyed, right? So in the same way, Purush cannot be destroyed, and Prakriti also cannot be destroyed. It's exactly like Jad and Chetan. Just using two different words, Purush, Prakriti, PP. PP stands for Purush Prakriti, PP stands for Pan Parag, PP stands for many other things. But here PP, when I say PP, it means Purush and Prakriti. So, Trigunatmika, it constitutes three gunas. Now, this is not a very new word. You say it daily in Devvandan. Trigunat, શું છે શ્લોક? Brahmanandam Paramasukadam Dvandvatitam
Namami.
Maulik mustn't be doing Devvandan. Bhavatitam Triguna Rahitam. So it is right, no? The Purusha is not of Trigun. Purush is Trigun Rahita. But Prakriti is with Triguna. Three means three. Triguna. Which Triguna? We have done in Bhagavad Gita. Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. And I'm not going to go in detail. But see how they explain the evolution process. So this Purush, Purush is not he, Purush is pure. It's not Purush and Mahila toilet. Purush means Atma here. And Purush is pure, inactive, Nishkriya. But Prakriti is Sakriya. It undergoes changes. It is Jada. It undergoes changes. So Prakriti consists of three gunas. Anybody have done a chotla behind? Chotla ko bandhyo છે ચોટલો બેન જરા આગળ આવશો અહીંયા એક ચોટલો છે બરાબર એક જ છે પણ એની અંદર પેલી વળ કહેવાય શું કહેવાય કેટલી હોય બેન થોડું ખોલીને બતાડી શકશો એકદમ જલ્દી કરીને બતાડશો એકદમ જલ્દી ખોલી એ લોકોની देखता खोलो કેટલા નીકળા So one is sattva, one is rajas, and one is tamas. Prakriti is like this, one chotla, but it consists of three gunas, sattva, rajas, tamas. And this is the Purush, Jad and Chetan. When Jad Chetan comes in contact, this balance, atana balance, when it is in chotla form, it is balanced. The balance is lost. And the Prakriti starts to degenerate into three. Prakriti is well balanced. But when it comes in contact with the Purush, meaning the soul, tare this sattva, rajas, tamas no balance tute. Balance tute એટલે સત્વ રજસ ને તમસ છૂટા પડે અને એમાંથી 24 elements થાય. From this Prakriti, 24 in 5 groups. 5 groups. You just need to know why they say Kare Prakriti Bandh. Soul is pure, soul is inactive. Soul is non-doer, soul is unbound. Prakriti, સમજાવવા માટે કહું છું, Prakriti comes in contact and it starts degenerating into 24 elements in 5 groups. First group being of 5 elements: earth, water, fire, air, space. Second group, I'm not giving the technical names though I know it and I'm quite tempted. પણ આનથી વધારે કરીશ તો પછી ટોટલી કશું જ યાદ નહીં રહે તમને એટલે તન્માત્રા ને પ્રધાન ને મહત ને ઓલ્સો આઈ એમ નોટ યુઝિંગ ધોઝ ટેકનિકલ વર્ડ્સ ઓફ ધ સાંખ્ય ફિલોસોફી સો ફર્સ્ટ ગ્રુપ આઈ સેડ સેકન્ડ ગ્રુપ ઇઝ ધ 5 સેન્સ ઓર્ગન્સ third group is the 5 active organs speech hands feet anus and genitals. They are called motor organs or active organs. So these are the sense organs, 5 sense organs, Gnanendriya, and 5 active organs, Karmendriya, through which we act, through which we know. 5 Gnanendriya, Gnan karne wali indriya, 5 Karmendriya, act, hands, feet, etc. So first group, 5 fundamental elements. Second group, 5 sense organs. Third group, fourth group, 5 sense objects. In the sense, touch, smell, taste, sight. And the last 4, 5 થઈ ગયા. 5 funda, 5 sense organs, 5 active organs and 5 sense objects. And હવે 4 રહ્યા. That is mind, intellect, ego and tendency. Chit bhi kehvaય because they count chit in prakriti, not in purush. So man, buddhi, ahankar, chit, anything. Now see, why I need to explain all this. It's not there in the verse also. Why did I explain? Now see the confusion, where the confusion has started. What is this? Soul? Purush, Purush. We are Sankhya philosophy. So, Purush. And what is this? They come in, this starts generating. Actually, the first degeneration thai emati evolve thai buddhi. Then buddhi mati ego and em karta all this. But you don't need to know the process and all. But now 24 things have evolved from it, from Prakriti. So it is no more as Prakriti. It is now all different 24 elements. But they are all one category only, Prakriti. But now though we see it as 24 things. Okay, show me Jad. Show me Jad. Show me Jad, this book. So though the book is Jad, now for us it is a book. So now for everyone it is 24 elements. It's nothing like Prakriti. It's either as earth or it is as water or it is as nose or it is some, you understand? Or as mind or buddhi. So what is mind and intellect according to the Sankhya philosophy? It is Purush or Prakriti. Prakriti or Purush? Jad or Chetan? Oh, Jad? So it's not Chetan? Yes. Now how does it explain? So when they both come into contact, this was what? This Purush is conscious or non-conscious? So conscious. Prakriti conscious or non-conscious? Purush active or inactive? Meaning doer or non-doer? Non-doer. Prakriti active or doer? So let's keep conscious as with eyes. Because it can know, it eyes. And inactive as lame. And non-conscious as blind. Non-conscious as blind because it cannot know. And if you are inactive, means you don't have legs, you are lame. So Purush is blind or lame? Purush is blind or lame? So blind to nahi because it is conscious, so it is not blind. But it is inactive, so it is lame. And Prakriti is blind or not blind? Blind because it's not conscious, so it is blind. And lame or not lame? Not lame. So this is not blind, this is not lame or ultulo. This is lame and this is blind. અને આ બંને ભેગા થઈ જાય તો શું થાય? Activity. Suppose there are two people in a forest, one is blind and one is lame. They both want to go out of the forest, but blind cannot see the way. And the lame can see everything, but it cannot walk. What if the blind carries the lame on his shoulder? What happens? That's exactly. This is the way the worldly life or the activity in the world is explained by the Sankhya philosophy. That this remains a non-doer only. So who's the doer? Prakriti does everything. But how can the Prakriti do? તો કે by the consciousness આ બે કોન્ટેક્ટમાં આવે એટલે આખી સૃષ્ટિ ઊભી થાય. Or it explains the evolution of the world and the worldly activities, the doings, the karmas, the bondage, everything can be explained this way. I can go on and on. તમે વધારે કન્ફ્યુઝ થશો એટલે અટકાવું છું અહીંયા. So this example, you understand Purush and Prakriti. Now, the confusion starts with buddhi. What is buddhi? So Jad or Chetan? Jad. They say Prakriti is, buddhi is a form of Prakriti, one of the element of Prakriti. So it has to be Jad. But there is some speciality in buddhi. ચેતનનું પ્રતિબિંબ બુદ્ધિમાં પડે છે. ચેતનનું એટલે કે પુરુષનું, સોલનું પ્રતિબિંબ એમાં પડે છે. So the buddhi feels it is active also because that is what it has got from the Jad. And it is conscious also because it is getting the spark from the Purush when it comes into contact. So basically now you need to understand, they feel everything, the karta bhokta is the buddhi and not the purush. The soul is not karta or bhokta. It is the buddhi which is karta bhokta. When it is karta, bondage, and then finally liberate also. So who gets bound? The Purush or the Prakriti? Prakriti. Why? Because buddhi is is in the section of category of Prakriti. So who gets bound? And who gets liberated? So everything bandh and moksha both is in Prakriti, not in Purush. Purush was never in bondage. And Purush was never, it never needs to be liberated because it was never in bondage. I need someone. Someone come. Okay. આમાં રૂમાલ થોડો ગંદો છે, ચાલશે? મારું નાક વાગ છે. Come here, give me your hand. એક. What have I done, Dr. Mansi? I've tied a, meaning, what is this? Handkerchief, right? I've tied a handkerchief where? बोल फटाफट बोल, confidently बोल. Around his hand. तो hand बोल ना खाली. So handkerchief is tied to the
hand.
Dr. Mansi, you need to come on the stage because you're not seeing it properly. See, આગળ આવીને જો. The handkerchief is tied to the handkerchief.
Yes.
So this is what the Sankhya philosophy says. The Purush remains unbound. Kare Prakruti Bandh. Prakriti degenerated. So the whole thing was only for this. Prakriti no akhu process and the buddhi feels that it is Prakruti, and એના ignoranceમાં તો buddhi feels I am the body. Everything, અને એ બધો આરોપ નાખે પુરુષ ઉપર. So it appears that the પુરુષ is bound, પણ actually કરે પ્રકૃતિ બંધ. તો બંધ પણ પ્રકૃતિ, મુક્તિ પણ પ્રકૃતિ. પુરુષ ન બંધ ન મોક્ષ, ન બંધો ન મોક્ષ. જઈને ગાવું પડશે એક લાઈન એ પદમાંથી. You understand? So it's like a cow is tied by a rope. But if you see it from the practical point, you are right. The cow is bound by the rope. But if you see from the point of reality, the rope is tied to the rope. That rope is tied to the rope, and the cow is unbound. મારો છે. Oh. So you just need to know 3 examples. So one example is of the cow nulo ke anulo. Okay, here only from the practical viewpoint we can say his hand was tied, he was bound, he was in bondage. But actually anubandhan ani સાથે થયું છે. So practical viewpoint and the real viewpoint, right? Vyavaharik viewpoint and the paramarthik viewpoint. Second example you can give is of sphatic. Sphatic means crystal. So crystal is of which color? Hemal. Clear? I'm saying color, which color? No color. No color. પણ એની બાજુમાં આવું કંઈક blue મૂકી દો આવી રીતે. So
It will appear to be blue.
appear, you said. So I'm not interested in appearing and all. Crystal is of which color?
Blue.
કેવું દેખાય છે?
Blue.
Blue. And then when I remove this, હવે crystal?
Clear again.
But nothing has happened to the crystal at all. It was clear, it is clear, it will always remain clear. It is the Prakruti coming, Prakruti going. હજી વધારે કહીશ ને કોઈ તમને આ ફિલોસોફી સેટ થઈ જવાનું છે. So this has remained always pure, free, detached. Did it become blue for 10 minutes? No, it appeared, you said. So that is the correct, that's exactly what Sankhya philosophy is. It appears the Atma is in Bandhan and Atma has to strive for moksha, but it is abandh and ગાવાનું છે એક લાઈન.
अहं निर्विकल्पो निराकाररूपो विभुर्व्याप्य सर्वत्र सर्वेन्द्रियाणां सदा मे समत्वं न मुक्तिर्न बन्धः चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं.
So it appears. So for all practical viewpoint, it appears the soul is bound and soul needs to do something for liberation and attain liberation. But in reality it is abandh and so always moksha swarup. Okay? That's what the Sankhya philosophy says. I must have used this example so many times, but there's a difference in how I have used and what I'm saying right now. And I'll explain this when the Guru resolves this confusion. I have used this example for Bednan, but not the way I'm speaking right now. Right now I'm speaking the Shishya's argument, and it is wrong, or it is an impartial truth. And because he believes it's the complete truth, he's wrong. So, say there's a war between 2 countries. And બે રાજ્ય બોલો, સૈનિકો જાય, soldiers jai, senapati jai, commander-in-chief jai, they fight the war and say they won. But the credit goes to the king, the minister, king. So the king lost the war. King won the war. Everything is said for the king, but actually the king had done nothing. War ચાલતી હતી ત્યારે સ્પગેટી ખાતો હતો એના ડાઇનિંગ ટેબલ. That's the thing I would never have, that's why I used it. So, but કહેવાય શું? રાજા જીત્યો, રાજા હાર્યો. But actually Raja has not gone to the battlefield at all. The soul has not done anything, but the soul is considered baddha, the soul is considered mukta. But actually it's not done. આખો ખેલ નર્તકીનો છે, dancer. Dancer ને નર્તકી કહેવાય. તો આખો ખેલ પ્રકૃતિનો છે. Prakriti is doing everything and everything is said for the Purush. Actually, Prakriti is coming in contact, Prakriti is creating bondage, Prakriti is getting liberated and everything is credited to Purush. So this is it. Now read the first line, you might understand what Bhagavan wants to put in. Atma meaning Purush. Purusha sada asangane, unbound, untouched. Kare, who is the doer? Kare, karnar kon che? Prakriti band. Now you understood it? Soul is always non-attached, meaning without the association of karma, because we are talking of karma right now. Unbound, untouched, pure. Then who is the doer? Prakriti. Prakriti with its three gunas, sattva, etc., is the doer. Soul cannot, by nature, soul cannot indulge in any activity causing bondage. It is all the khel of Prakriti. So he's saying, by this philosophy also, by this viewpoint also, Atma remains a non-doer. So the fundamental truth that Atma, the soul, is the doer doesn't seem right, appropriate. Because I proved it to you that the Atma remains non-doer, unbound. Unbound. For all practical purposes or from the practical viewpoint, you may consider it bound and liberated. From point of reality, real or absolute viewpoint, it was never bound and never liberated. Okay, so Atma sada asangane kare prakriti ban. Athva, or, now the second one, not as long as Sankhya. Sankhya you didn't know anything, that's why. Athva, now what is the say? If you don't want to accept the Sankhya viewpoint to prove that the soul is the non-doer, I have one more alternative. કેટલું easy કરી નાખ્યું શિષ્યએ. Now the Guru only has to tick or put a cross. He has a head. He has the capacity to analyze. He has the capacity to take a decision also. He is not a dumb person. But he has traits of surrendership. He wants to draw the right conviction, conclusion or decision according to the Guru. Not that he's dumb. મને કઈ સૂતું નથી, બાપા કહી દો ને શું. He's not dumb. He's a bhakta. So when you show your dumbness, I don't feel like answering. When you show your bhakti, I want to intervene. So being dumb is one thing, being non-intelligent is one thing, and surrendership is another thing. This is my homework. This is, if you tell me to take the decision or make the decision, then this is it. But I want to do according to your will, your command, and you tell us. That is one thing. And because you are afraid of the negatives, so Bapa tame kahi do, so you will be held responsible. બાપા તમે કહી દો કે આશ્રમ જ કરવાનો, એ બધું મરી જાય તો બી તમે રિસ્પોન્સિબલ, ટ્વિન્સ થાય તો બી તમે, હાઉ એમ આઈ રિસ્પોન્સિબલ? સો સી યુ વોન્ટ, એક તમને રિસ્પોન્સિબિલિટી ફેંકી છે કોઈની પર કે બાપાએ કીધું તો બી આવું ખરાબ કેવી રીતે થયું? અરે તો આઈ એમ નોટ ગોડ એન્ડ આઈ એમ નોટ ધ ક્રિએટર ઓફ ધ યુનિવર્સ એન્ડ આઈ એમ નોટ ધ ક્રિએટર ઓફ યોર ભાગ્ય. I'll just show your bhagya. I can't create your bhagya. So you want some answers from me. You want to induce in me કે give us this answer. તો હું હસ્તાક્ષર કરવા વાળો નથી, હું હસ્તક્ષેપ કરવા વાળો છું. I'll intervene and make you change a decision, but I can't just endorse anything. So this is nothing to do with the second part of the verse. I'll start now. So Athva Ishwar Prerna, and if you consider everything by Ishwar Prerna, Tethi Jivaban, then the soul remains not responsible, not a doer. So let's understand what is this Ishwar Prerna. Very easy. So this is by the influence of the Nyaya Darshan, as I said. And who was the propounder of Nyaya Darshan? Maharshi Gautam. Maharshi Gautam. And Nyaya Darshan was, it is said that it was prevalent in India 500 BC, meaning contemporary of Bhagwan Mahavir and Bhagwan Buddha. It is called logical realism. Nyaya Darshan, as Sankhya Darshan was called dualistic philosophy or pluralistic philosophy or realistic philosophy, this is called logical realism. So Nyaya Darshan propounded by Maharshi Gautam and several great acharyas. 1200s it was Gangesh, and the way he propounded Nyaya philosophy, it is called Navya Nyaya. And once Navya Nyaya became prevalent, then Nyaya and Vaisheshik Darshan merged into one. This is just a piece of general knowledge. So Maharshi Gautam, 2500 BC, historians are not very sure, but they say when Alexander Sikandar attacked India, northwest frontiers, Nyaya Darshan was at its peak. And Alexander studied Nyaya when he was in India. Gandhar, Takshashila, that area was called Gandhar, from where Gandhari came, mother of Kauravas. And Takshashila was a well-established university that time. Nalanda in the east and Takshashila in the west. Alexander study કર્યું હતું ન્યાય દર્શન, so at least 2400 years ago, Nyaya Darshan. So Nyaya Darshan believes in Ishwar as Jagat Karta. Let's see 9 darshans ma which darshans believe in Ishwar as the creator of the universe. Charvak, nothing what is not visible to the eyes, they are going to accept. So Charvak believes in Ishwar. Jain, of course they believe in Ishwar not as a creator, as a soul which has reached its purest state. So they will say God, and amara 24 gods છે ને આમ છે ને એવી રીતે બોલે, but not God as a creator of the universe or souls. Right? So Charvak, non-believer of God as, now I'm saying God as a creator. Charvak, Jain, Buddhists, so ત્રણ દર્શન તો નહીં. Nyay, yes. Vaisheshik, yes, because it's nearly the same. That's why I've paired it. Nyay, Vaisheshik. Sankhya, no, they say only 2 elements, Purush and Prakriti. They didn't say 3, Purush, Prakriti and God. They didn't say that. Purush and Prakriti, and they can show, they can answer any of your questions by this. So Sankhya, no. Yog, they believe in Ishwar, but not as a creator. They believe it as an ideal for worship. But Sakshi, like Jainism. So Yoga. And then comes Mimamsa, Purva Mimamsa. Purva Mimamsa also don't believe God as the creator. They will believe in all the devatas. Varuna Devata, Agni Devata, and all the Agnihotra and all the yagnas and everything, but not as God as the creator. And last comes Vedanta or Uttar Mimamsa or Vedanta. So there are so many different schools in Vedanta. Advait Vedanta of Shankaracharya, he will consider everything as Vivarta. Vivarta meaning everything appears but is not. Nothing is changing or transforming. Everything appears. This world is also Maya. Means Maya થી જગત છે. જગત જ જો માયા હોય તો જગતનો કરતા તો માયા બને. Mayopohit Brahma. So Brahma associated with Maya, so it becomes at one level Ishwar, one level Jivatma, everything. But that is just a vyavharik reality. The Paramarthic reality is only Brahma and nothing else. So Shankar Ishwar, Nahi Ishwar, so forget it. Because if he talks about Sagun Brahma also, God as person or anything, but everything is Maya. Only one sect, Madhva Parampara, Madhva from Udupi in the south. Two things Udupi gave us. Udupi, it's a town 1 hour from Mangalore or Mangaluru, whatever it is called right now. What is it called? Mangaluru, Bengaluru and Mangaluru. So Mangalore, all the Shetties come from Mangalore. કયો છે આપણા building? Sunil Shetty and all, they are all from Mangalore, all Shetties. And basically 1 hour from Mangalore, Udupi, I have visited Madhva's mutt and ashram and everything. So his parampara believes in God as a creator. But mainly it is the Nyay Vaisheshik and metaphysically the Nyay. So we can say this argument stems from the influence of the Nyay philosophy. So what is this Nyay philosophy? So they say, the Nyayiks say that God, there is an element called God, Ishwar, who is the creator of the universe, number one. This you need for your quiz. This particular question you will need. But then because now we'll take repeats also. There is Ishwar, God, who is the creator of the universe, creator of the souls in the universe, and prompter of the actions of the soul. Three things. See how much comes in the word Atva Ishwar Prerna, rather the word Ishwar Prerna. So, what do they believe? Very simple. G-O-D, God, generator, operator, and destroyer of the universe. G-O-D, Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh. Brahma, the generator or the creator. Vishnu, operator, sustainer, and Mahesh, destroyer. So, G-O-D. So there is something like God, who is the creator of the universe, who is the creator of souls, and who is the inspiration or prompter of all the activity of the soul. All the activity. In fact, they believe anything and everything what happens in the universe is because of God's will. પાંદડું બી હલે, પાંદડું leaf. એક leaf પણ slight બી હલે, it is because of the will of God. પાંદડાનું હલવું પણ is because of the God. તમને જે thoughts આવે is because it's inspired by God. ઈશ્વર પ્રેરણા. Whatever actions you perform and whatever result you get, everything it is because of the intervention of God or prompting of God or instigating or desire. God's will means desire. It's because of God's will. Everything and anything happening in the world. And in contrast, the Jain Darshan says, એક તનખલા blade of grass ના બે ટુકડા કરવાની સત્તા ધરાવતો. And ન્યાય દર્શન will say કે it's આખું in contrast. So the Nayayik say that the God is the creator of the universe, but not of the matter of the universe. Matter was already there and he created the universe. So he is only the Nimitta Karan, he is not the Upadan Karan. He does not become the world. Transcendence and immanence, jem apne kahiye. Ek, how the Islam would say that this whole world is only Islam. Allah. Sorry. So, Allah is not somewhere beyond the world. અહીંયા બેઠો છે Allah અને આ જગત ક્રિએટ કર્યું. Not that way. This world is only Allah. અને એક નૈયાયિક દર્શન કે no, he is seated in some place like a potter. He has not created the clay. Clay was there, upadan karan. Potter was the nimitta karan. They both combine and a pot is created, and we say the creator of the pot is the potter. The material substance was already there, and God created the world. So he is the nimitta karan, this is the upadan karan, the material cause, the instrumental cause, and God has only created from the existing elements. So they wouldn't believe that God created souls or God created matter. Matter was there, souls were there, and God created the universe. Only Nimitta Karan, not Upadan Karan. This is if you want to know more about the Nyaya philosophy. You can just say God is the creator of the universe. Forget the rest. Potter, nahi fave to chhodi de. In fact, there's a whole scripture, Nyaya Kusumanjali, which I had got a chance to study when I was doing Nyaya Darshan. I did it for 1 year, 7 months. So by Udayana Acharya, a great Acharya of the Nyaya school, and he wrote one whole scripture called Nyaya Kusumanjali, name Ishwar Siddhi. Krapadevi likhu Atma Siddhi. He wrote Ishwar Siddhi, and the whole Granth, whole scripture is dedicated to proving the existence of God, giving ontological arguments, teleological arguments, moral arguments, which is metaphysical arguments, scriptural arguments. એવી રીતે 5-7 ચીજથી, અને I had in my MA also. And how will you prove the existence of God? Ontological arguments. Mention the ontological and 20-30 ontological arguments. Metaphysical, moral, teleological. So just showing off a little bit. Okay, atlu budu for the existence of God. But what is the concept of God? Okay, God created the universe. And when he created the universe, his baby, અને એમાં જેટલા souls છે, every soul ને he prompts, he inspires, and so the word God's will. O Father, who art in heaven. Go ahead. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, and on earth as it is in heaven. And thy will be done. So everything is God's desire, will, or God's inspiration or God's prompting. Everything, all your dehadi sarva karya, all your bodily actions or your mental, everything is by God's will. See, one you speak out of gratitude, and one metaphysically, this is the system. It's two different things. एक emotionally you give credit, एक बोलो, and एक there is no soul's effort at all. Souls are all puppets are in the hands of God, and everything what a soul does is because God wills. God inspires, God prompts. So simple. Akhu Ishwar Siddhi Granth, I can just tell you what impressed me a little bit. So, God is the creator, and God, all the actions of any souls is all prompted by God. So it is actually God is the doer. Maybe the potter gets the credit when he creates a pot. So you will give, he created the pot, but actually he has created by God's will. So actually the credit goes to God, but Pratyakshma will say that he created this, he created an ashram, he's this, everything. So the argument they put forth is, for a pot, you can give the credit to a potter. Okay, he is the creator. Then for the sun and moon, who would you give the credit to? Sun and moon. Pot who made? And shirt who made? Tailor. He created the shirt. Who created the sun and the moon? And then they say it's a God. It's God. God is the plan maker. God is the creator. પછી બહુ સુંદર લાગે કે એમને નથી થતું just by molecules and atoms નું combination and degeneration, એનાથી વસ્તુ નથી બનતી. It's because God wills it happens. If not, પર્વતો કોને બનાવ્યા? તો કે God બનાવ્યા. પર્વતો God બનાવ્યા. તો પછી ઝૂંપડી બનાવવા માટે કે ઘર બનાવવા માટે, why do you need another maker? If God could just make mountain, ocean, તો એવી રીતે કરીને આખો આશ્રમ બનાવી દીધો હોત તો અમારે મહેનત ના કરવી પડત. You understand? સૂર્યને આવો રાખવા માટે ઈશ્વર, તો દીપક પ્રગટાવવા માટે આપણે કેમ મહેનત કરાવે છે? સીધું ભગવાન ઉપરથી આમ ફૂ કરીને સીધા બધા દીવા પકટી જાય એવું બને. સો લોટ ઓફ ક્વેશ્ચન આન્સર ક્વેશ્ચન, આખો ગ્રંથ નહીં સમજાય, આટલું સમજાય તો બસ છે. અથવા ઈશ્વર પ્રેરણા. સો લેટ્સ ગો ટુ ધ વર્સ એન્ડ એન્ડ ઇટ હિયર. સો અથવા ઈશ્વર પ્રેરણા, souls are created by God, or as the Nayayik say, souls were there, but he just organized everything, whatever. But the universe is created by God, and all the actions of each and every soul is prompted by, inspired by, everything is by the inspiration of God. Everything happens solely by the wish and intervention of the God. So why should the soul be considered a doer itself? You would say the potter is the doer, meaning the creator of the pot. But if it's all because of God's will, God's inspiration, God's prompting, then in reality, the soul has just done what God wanted him. So how can you call the soul as the doer? So what should you call the soul? Non-doer. That's exactly what he wants to prove. And now we need to wait how the Guru is going to answer this. Everything by God. So you can visualize like someone is possessed by a ghost. Visualize, whether you believe it or not is another thing, but some भूत के प्रेत अपने कहिए व्यंतर भूत प्रेत घोस्ट demon કાંઈ બી બોલીએ હા it has entered someone's say નેમીજીમાં ઘૂસ્યું છે એક ભૂત and then the bhoot makes him do several things, or say sometimes Mataji also comes. You know, નવરાત્રિમાં માતાજી આમ કરવા લાગે અને જાત જાતનું બોલે જાત જાતનું કરે, and when Mataji leaves and then you say કે તમે આવું કરતા હતા અને આવું બોલતા હતા, કે I don't know anything. So who was the doer? What did you see Nemiji doing or speaking? But actually, whatever Nemiji did, whatever he spoke, was all prompted by? So I am a ghost. Okay. By the ghost. So as you would not hold Nemiji responsible for any acts of him when he's possessed, you won't hold him responsible. કાં તો ભૂત આવે ને એટલે I've seen so many, I think Janvi and all must be knowing, ગરમ બોઇલિંગ મિલ્ક પી જાય જ્યારે ભૂત હોય એના શરીરમાં, તો ગરમ દૂધ પી લે. they know someone જેને આવી રીતે થતું હતું, ગરમ દૂધ પીએ તે વખતે કાંઈ ન થાય અને ભૂત શરીરમાંથી નીકળી જાય પછી બધા ફોલ્લા થઈ જાય. પણ તે વખતે આમ બોઇલિંગ આમ ગેસ પર હોય, ઉકળતું દૂધ હોય, પણ પેલું જ્યારે ભૂત આવ્યું હોય ત્યારે પી જાય અને ત્યારે કશું જ નહીં, તો ઉકે આ નહીં કરે અને ભૂત નીકળી જાય પછી આખું શરીર એ થઈ જાય અને બધા કપડાં કપાઈ જાય ને આ કરી નાખે ને તે કરે ને કંઈ હજારો કંઈ ઘણું કરે. પણ who would you consider responsible? The person or the ghost? So ghostની જગ્યાએ God મૂકી દો. He wills, he designs, he plans, he prompts, he inspires, he instigates. કોઈ બી વર્ડ ચૂઝ કરી લો. So how is the soul responsible? James ghost should be responsible or be considered as the doer and the person as the non-doer. In the same way, the souls are non-doer, and who's the doer? Ishwar. So Atva Ishwar Prerna. So if you believe in this philosophy that everything is because of God's will and inspired by God, from that viewpoint also, the soul remains a non-doer only. So whether it is Prakriti who is doing or whether it is God who is doing, the soul is the non-doer. So you understand? Both the above options, it is not possible for the soul to be the doer, and therefore he concludes that it seems that the soul is a non-doer, and if it's a non-doer, then where is the question of liberation then? If the soul is not bound only, then what is there is no question in raising a question also is stupidity. Okay, how can I be liberated when you are not even bound? So let's sing this.
आत्मा सदा असंग ने करे प्रकृति बंध, अथवा ईश्वर प्रेरणा तेथी जीव अबंध.